Welcome to my channel Old Valuable Chiller. Today we are going to talk about the Washington $quarter coin from 1965, one of the most fascinating coins in United States history. The 1965 Washington $quarter is a coin that every coin collector, numismatist, and history enthusiast finds interesting because of its background, composition, mintage, and value in today's coin market. If you have ever wondered about the 1965 Washington quarter, its worth, its history, and what makes it so collectible, then this video will give you all the detailed information you need. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. From that year onward, the Washington quarter became a permanent part of United States coinage. The design features the portrait of George Washington on the obverse side, facing left, with the word Liberty above his head and the motto "In God We Trust" placed to the left. On the reverse side of the coin is the American eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows, and an olive branch, symbolizing both strength and peace. This iconic design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it has been one of the longest-running coin designs in American coinage. Now, what makes the 1965 Washington quarter so special? Before 1965, quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper. However, due to rising silver prices in the early 1960s, the United States government made the decision to eliminate silver from quarters and switch to a copper-nickel clad composition. Beginning in 1965, quarters were produced with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. This change was historic, and the 1965 Washington quarter became the very first year of this new clad composition. Because of this major change, collectors pay close attention to 1965 quarters. Some people even confuse them with earlier silver quarters, since they look very similar at first glance. One way to tell the difference is by checking the edge of the coin. A 1965 quarter with a copper core will show a brownish strip along the edge, while silver quarters from 1964 and earlier will appear solid silver all the way through. Another important fact about the 1965 quarter is its mintage. Over 1.8 billion Washington quarters were struck in 1965, making it one of the most common dates in the series. Because so many were made, most circulated examples are only worth their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated examples, especially those in higher grades, can be worth more. For instance, a mint state 1965 quarter with strong details and clean surfaces can be valued at several dollars. In top grades, like MS-66 or MS-67, prices can rise significantly because those coins are much harder to find without wear or marks. There are also error coins from 1965 that can be extremely valuable. One of the most famous errors is the 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchette. Because the transition from silver to clad happened quickly, some leftover silver planchets were accidentally used in 1965. If you happen to find a 1965 quarter that weighs about 6.25 grams instead of the normal 5.67 grams, you may have a rare silver quarter worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on condition. These transitional errors are highly sought after by collectors and can turn an ordinary-looking coin into a valuable treasure. Other types of errors include off-center strikes, double strikes, and coins with missing clad layers. A missing clad layer quarter will show a coppery surface on one side, which makes it look unusual and collectible. Some of these errors can fetch strong prices in the coin market. When it comes to grading and condition, collectors look for sharp details on Washington's hair, strong lettering, and minimal marks or scratches. Coins with original luster and no signs of circulation are always more desirable. Mint state examples certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can command higher premiums, especially in top grades. Many collectors wonder if a 1965 quarter is rare. The truth is that in circulated condition, it is very common, but in high grades or as an error coin, it can be valuable. For example, a 1965 Washington quarter in mint state 67 has sold for over $1,000 at auction. The key is condition and rarity of errors. Beyond the financial value, the 1965 Washington quarter holds historical significance. It represents a turning point in U.S. coinage, marking the end of circulating silver quarters and the beginning of the modern clad coinage we still use today. For this reason, it remains an important coin for both casual collectors and serious numismatists. If you are searching your change, keep an eye out for 1965 quarters that look different in weight or edge color, because they could be silver planchette errors. Always check the details carefully, and if you find something unusual, consider having it authenticated. Today, Many people still collect Washington quarters by date and mint mark, and the 1965 quarter is a must-have piece because of its role in the history of U.S. coinage. It might not be rare in most cases, but it is a cornerstone coin that every collection should include. In summary, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar is a coin with a story. It was the first clad quarter, it has famous errors worth thousands of dollars, and it marks the end of silver coinage in everyday circulation. Whether you are a beginner just starting to collect coins or an experienced collector searching for rare varieties, the 1965 quarter is an exciting piece to study, collect, and treasure. First up, today we are going to talk in detail about the Washington quarter dollar coin 1971D from United States. This coin is one of the most interesting collectible coins for many coin enthusiasts, and it continues to attract attention because of its history, design, errors, and potential value in the coin collecting market. If you are a coin collector, a beginner in numismatics, or simply someone who loves learning about American coins, then stay tuned as I take you on a full journey through everything you need to know about the 1971D Washington quarter dollar coin. The Washington quarter has been a symbol of American currency since it was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, and it features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse side. On the reverse, you will find the image of an eagle with wings spread, which was the standard design until the state quarter program began in 1999. The 1971D quarter dollar belongs to this classic era of Washington quarters, and it is an important part of American coinage history. Now let's talk about the specifics of the 1971D quarter. The D Mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, which produced millions of these coins in 1971. The composition of the coin is copper-nickel clad, with a pure copper core and outer layers of a copper-nickel alloy. This composition was first introduced in 1965, replacing the earlier 90% silver quarters that were produced up until 1964. That means the 1971D Washington quarter contains no silver, but it is still an iconic coin with great interest for collectors. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint produced a very large number of these coins. The mintage exceeded 300 million, which means that in general circulation, these coins are considered common. However, not every coin is equal, and certain examples in higher grades, mint state condition, or with unique errors can carry a premium value. This is what makes the 1971D Washington quarter fascinating, because while most examples are worth only face value, some can be much more valuable depending on condition and rarity. When it comes to the value of the 1971D quarter, the average circulated coin is usually worth just 25 cents. But collectors are always searching for coins in uncirculated condition, also known as mint state. A coin graded MS65 or higher by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC can be worth significantly more, sometimes ranging from a few dollars to even over $100 depending on the market demand. The highest graded coins, especially those with a grade of MS67 or MS68, can be extremely valuable because they are rare in such pristine condition. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1971D quarter dollar coin is the possibility of mint errors. Error coins always attract attention from collectors because they are unique and hard to find. Some of the known errors for the 1971D quarter include off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and coins struck on the wrong planchette. For example, if a 1971D quarter was struck on a nickel planchette or another denomination, that error coin can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Collectors are always eager to find these rare error coins, so it's important to check your change carefully. Another interesting factor is that coin collectors often look for strong strike details, clean surfaces, and luster when evaluating a 1971D quarter. Since these coins were made for circulation, many of them show heavy wear and contact marks. But a well-preserved coin with sharp details and full mint luster can stand out and command a premium price in the collector's market. Let's also talk about grading for a moment, because grading plays a huge role in determining the value of any Washington quarter, including the 1971D. A coin in good or very fine condition will usually be worth face value. An extremely fine coin might bring in a small premium. An uncirculated coin graded MS60 to MS63 may be worth a few dollars. Higher grades like MS65, MS66, or MS67 can bring much higher prices. Proof-like or exceptional examples can be especially desirable. This is why professional grading by services like PCGS and NGC can make a big difference in the coin's value. Beyond its monetary worth, the 1971D Washington quarter is also valuable for its place in history. It represents the early years of the copper-nickel-clad coinage era in the United States. By 1971, the U.S. Mint had already transitioned away from silver, and coins like the Washington quarter were made to withstand heavy circulation without containing precious metals. For collectors today, this coin marks an important transition period in American currency. Some collectors also enjoy putting together full sets of Washington quarters by date and mint mark. For anyone building a collection, the 1971 D quarter is a necessary piece. While it may be common, finding one in top condition is still a challenge. That makes it rewarding to search for the best example you can find, whether in circulation, in a coin shop, or at a coin show. It's also worth noting that while the 1971 D Washington quarter does not contain silver, there were proof sets struck in San Francisco with special finishes. Collectors sometimes confuse proof coins with regular circulation strikes, but the Denver minted coins like the 1971 D were strictly business strikes for everyday use. If you happen to come across a proof coin from 1971, it would most likely have the S mint mark for San Francisco. For anyone just starting in coin collecting, the 1971 D Washington $quarter coin is a great piece to study because it helps you learn about mint marks, coin grading, mint errors, and the history of U.S. coinage. It also teaches collectors that not every coin has high monetary value, but every coin has educational and historical value. By examining a coin like the 1971 D quarter, you gain appreciation for the artistry of John Flanagan's design and the way coins connect us to American history. Now let's talk a little more about some of the errors that collectors search for. A double die obverse or reverse error on a 1971 D quarter can be worth a substantial amount. Off-center errors, where part of the design is missing due to misalignment during striking, can also be highly collectible. Clipped planchets, where part of the coin is missing because of a mistake in the planchet cutting process, are another error variety to watch for. Each of these errors creates a unique coin that stands out from the millions of normal strikes, making it valuable to numismatists. When searching for 1971 D quarter in circulation, pay close attention to the details. Look at Washington's portrait, check the word Liberty, inspect the motto "In God We Trust," and examine the date and mint mark. On the reverse side, study the eagle's feathers, the lettering, and the strike details. Any doubling, misalignment, or unusual features may indicate an error coin. These small differences can turn an ordinary 25-cent piece into a collectible worth much more. Even though the majority of 1971 D Washington quarters may only be worth face value, the fun of coin collecting is in the hunt. Every collector knows the thrill of finding a rare variety, a high-grade coin, or an overlooked error. That's what makes the 1971 D quarter such a popular coin to research and collect. Next up today we are going to explore the fascinating history, value, and key details of the Washington $quarter coin from 1972, minted in the United States. The 1972 quarter is one of the most collected coins in American numismatics, not only because of its classic design but also due to its place in the era when quarters were already transitioned into copper-nickel-clad composition, moving away from the earlier silver issues. Collectors and coin enthusiasts often search for details about the 1972 Washington quarter, including its mint marks, errors, varieties, and values in different conditions. So in this video we will cover everything you need to know. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse features the bust of George Washington facing left, with the word Liberty above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1972 below. The reverse design shows the bold American eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath, symbolizing both strength and peace. This classic design continued for decades, including the 1972 issue, making it instantly recognizable and a favorite among U.S. coin collectors. Now, let's talk about the composition. By 1972, the U.S. Mint was no longer producing silver quarters for circulation. Instead, the quarter was struck in a clad composition, consisting of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This gave the coin a total weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge. While the 1972 quarter does not contain silver, it still carries collectible value, especially in higher grades and rare error varieties. The 1972 Washington quarter was struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with the D mint mark, and San Francisco with the S mint mark for proof coins. Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of coins, making the 1972 P quarter common in circulation. The Denver Mint also produced a large number of coins, identified by the small d on the obverse to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint struck beautiful proof coins for collectors, bearing the S Mint mark, and these proof strikes are sought after in brilliant mirror-like finishes. Let's now go deeper into the value and grading of the 1972 Washington Quarter. In circulated condition, both Philadelphia and Denver quarters are generally worth face value, about 25 cents, because of their high mintage. However, when we look at uncirculated examples, especially those graded mint state 65 or higher, the value can rise significantly. For example, a 1972 P quarter in mint state 65 can be worth several dollars, while higher grades like MS 67 can bring much more at auctions. Denver mint coins in pristine condition also attract collector attention, and certified examples with strong strikes and full luster can be worth over $100 in the highest grades. Proof coins from San Francisco are a different story. The 1972 S Proof Quarter, especially those graded Proof 69 or Proof 70 by professional grading services, can be valuable. Collectors prize deep cameo examples, where the frosted design contrasts beautifully with the mirror-like fields. These coins, though widely available, can command premiums depending on quality. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1972 Washington Quarter is the presence of errors and varieties. Collectors always search for double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and other minting mistakes that can turn an ordinary quarter into a highly valuable rarity. Some 1972 quarters show doubling on the lettering or date, and those are especially popular among error coin enthusiasts. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks are also collectible, often selling for far more than face value. When collecting a 1972 quarter, condition and eye appeal are extremely important. Coins with strong strikes, minimal contact marks, and original luster are the most desirable. For proof coins, deep cameo contrast is key to value. Many collectors build complete sets of Washington quarters, and the 1972 issue is a necessary piece in any collection that covers the clad era. Beyond its monetary value, the 1972 Washington Quarter represents an important period in U.S. coinage history. The switch from silver to clad coinage was still fresh in people's minds, and the Washington Quarter remained a daily use coin that Americans carried in their pockets. Holding a 1972 quarter today connects us with that time in American history, reflecting the evolution of coinage and the enduring legacy of George Washington's portrait on U.S. currency. If you are thinking about collecting the 1972 quarter, there are a few tips to keep in mind. Always check for mint marks, because Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco issues each have their own characteristics. Examine coins closely for errors and varieties, as even small doubling can mean big value. Consider grading if you have a high-quality uncirculated or proof coin, because certified grades from companies like PCGS or NGC can significantly increase desirability and resale value. Finally, store your coins properly in protective holders to preserve their condition for the long term. The 1972 Washington Quarter continues to be an accessible yet rewarding collectible. While common in circulation, its proof versions and error varieties offer excitement for seasoned numismatists. Whether you are just starting your coin collection or already building a complete set, the 1972 Quarter deserves a place in your collection. Now we will explore where we talk about rare coins, collectible coins, and the history behind United States currency. Today's video is all about the Washington Quarter dollar coin from 1987 with the Philadelphia Mint mark, also known as the 1987 P Washington Quarter. If you are a coin collector, investor, or simply someone interested in learning more about American coins, this is the perfect video for you because I will be sharing the history, the design details, the mintage numbers, collector demand, potential values, and what makes the 1987 P Quarter unique among Washington quarters. The Washington Quarter has a long history that began in 1932, created to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Designed by sculptor John Flanagan, the coin features Washington's portrait on the obverse side. By 1987, the design was still in use, and it continued to be a widely circulated coin across the United States. The obverse of the 1987 P Quarter shows the left-facing bust of George Washington with the word Liberty above, the motto In God We Trust to the left, and the date 1987 at the bottom. The mint mark P is located on the obverse as well, signifying that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. The reverse of the 1987 Washington Quarter features the iconic heraldic eagle design. This eagle with spread wings is perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend, while an olive branch rests beneath, representing peace. The words United States of America appear above, with E pluribus unum just below, and the denomination quarter dollar at the bottom. This design remained standard on Washington quarters until 1998, when the 50-state quarters program began in 1999. Now let's talk about mintage numbers because this plays a major role in determining the rarity and value of any coin. In 1987, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 529 million Washington quarters with the P Mint mark. That's a very large number, which means that the 1987 P quarter is considered common in circulation. Because of the high mintage, most examples found today are worth face value, or just 25 cents, if they are in circulated condition. However, the story changes when you look at uncirculated or mint state examples. Collectors often pay a premium for quarters that remain in pristine condition with no signs of wear. When evaluating the 1987 P Washington quarter, coin collectors look at the grade. Coins in average circulated condition usually have no extra value. However, coins in mint state 63 or higher condition can be worth more to collectors. A coin graded mint state 65, which means it is in gem condition with strong luster and only minor marks, could be worth a few dollars. At mint state 67 or higher, the coin can bring in even more value because such examples are scarce and highly sought after by those building registry sets. Another aspect that adds value is whether the coin has special characteristics such as a full strike, strong luster, or attractive toning. Coins with rainbow toning or unusual color patterns can be especially desirable to some collectors. Even though the 1987 P quarter is common, finding one in exceptional condition is not always easy. That's why some collectors are willing to pay more for coins certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Error coins from 1987 can also be of great interest. Mint errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or broad strikes are rare and can significantly increase a coin's value. If you come across a 1987 P Washington quarter with an unusual appearance, it might be worth checking with a professional to see if it's a genuine mint error. Error coins can sell for hundreds of dollars depending on the type and severity of the mistake. One thing collectors also enjoy is the history and context of a coin. In 1987, the United States Mint did not issue quarters for collectors in mint sets or proof sets in the same way as other years, which makes finding higher grade examples from that year slightly more challenging. This adds a small layer of collector interest. Now let's talk about the long-term potential of the 1987 P quarter. Since billions were produced, the coin is not considered rare today, and circulated examples will likely remain worth face value for decades to come. However, the importance of the coin lies in completing a Washington quarter collection. For anyone building a complete set of Washington quarters from 1932 to 1998, the 1987 P is an essential piece. That collector demand ensures that uncirculated and graded examples will always hold value in the numismatic community. For those new to coin collecting, here are some tips when looking for a 1987 P Washington quarter. First, always check the coin's condition under good lighting. Look for luster, detail on Washington's hair, and sharpness of the eagle's feathers. Second, store your coins properly to avoid damage. Using coin flips, holders, or albums will help preserve their value. And third, educate yourself about grading standards so you can identify higher quality coins. Another thing worth mentioning is silver value. Many people often ask whether the 1987 P quarter contains silver. The answer is no. By 1987, the US Mint had long since transitioned to a copper-nickel clad composition. Only special proof coins made for collectors in San Francisco contain silver, and those are marked with the S Mint mark. So, if you have a 1987 P quarter, it is copper-nickel clad, not silver. Even though the coin is common, it remains an important part of US coinage history. It reflects the last decade of the traditional eagle reverse before the massive change that came with the 50-state quarters program. Coins like the 1987 P quarter are a reminder of a simpler era in American coin collecting, when designs did not change year after year. As with any collectible, the key factors are rarity, condition, and demand. While the 1987 P quarter is not rare, its value can be found in pristine examples, error varieties, and as a piece of a complete Washington quarter collection. If you ever come across rolls of quarters from the 1980s, it's worth searching through them to find high-grade 1987 P examples. To summarize, the 1987 P Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia with over 529 million produced. It features the classic John Flanagan design with George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse. Most circulated coins are only worth face value, but uncirculated and mint state examples can be worth several dollars, especially at higher grades. Error coins can be worth much more, and collectors continue to seek out the best examples for their sets.